it live.
Okay.
Well,
No.
we'll do it live. F it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nintendo Talk Live. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by... Wait a minute, hold on. I don't know if they can hear you or not. Is that right? That's good. Why is it saying mute, speaker mute? Anyway, technical difficulties. Gotta love YouTube and Skype. I'm joined by Stealth. Those of you guys know him as Stealth. I know his secret name. I'm not going to say his secret name at the moment. How are you doing tonight, Stealth?
I'm going good. How are you? See, if my secret name and my online persona collide, then the world's just going to explode. So
is that what it is? Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Okay, we'll keep it down on the low key. I don't want to actually maybe they couldn't hear you. Hold on. Let's make sure. Can you guys hear him? That's for me. That's my built-in microphone. There's that. I think they can hear you. Let me know if you guys can hear Stealth as we're moving along. If you're having an issue, let me know. It's saying that his microphone is muted. It shouldn't be at all. But Skype is acting wonky. Whatever. It is what it is. How you doing, man? It's been a very long time coming for this little thing.
A very long time coming. I'm doing really good. It's just funny how it's happening at the very end of the year.
That's a good thing, though. That's a good thing. Wind down, get ready for the new year. For those that don't know, I want you to real quickly just let everybody know like who you are, what you do, all that good stuff. Like, what's your whole breakdown?
Well, my online persona is Stealth. I've been a member of the Nintendo community and the JRPG community for about, I'd say, the 5 years that I've been on Twitter, and I've done different podcasts and different behind-the-scenes kind of news articles for different sites. I even did a little work for Game Rankings. So that's basically me in a nutshell.
The one thing that I've noticed is you're always involved in like you're retweeting stories, you're telling like you're spreading the news, which is good for me because I like that. I like to be able to pull news from people and see what's going on. So I very early found myself like following you, and I don't even know. I think the connection came from Roger, is more where you and I actually started talking.
Yes, because I believe he was a guest on your show.
Yeah. And
that's when I first listened to it.
Yeah.
And then I started listening to all the stuff you did and watched all the stuff you did.
Yeah.
And
I think you're like, this guy's not a total idiot. I can respect him now. He gets along with Roger, so I can respect him now. I get it. I understand. I'm used to it by now. So real quick, I want to do this, because I typically try... Before we get into some other stuff, I try to start the episode with a couple of questions. My first question would be, what is the first Nintendo console that you ever owned?
Well, the first Nintendo console that I ever owned is different than the one that I bought with my own money, and I'm sure
that'll be another question. So slow down. Take it.
The very first one that I remember in my house was the NES.
Okay. How did you get that? Like, how did that come about?
I'm pretty sure that my father bought it for himself. And eventually I just started playing the thing.
So you had no choice. It was kind of like...
basically. I don't remember like an Atari 7800 in the house at all. Like I bought that later, which, it's not surprising that he didn't buy that because it kind of sucks. But... yeah, the NES was the first system, and in terms of games, I remember, obviously, Mario and Duck Hunt. I actually remember Mega Man 2, and then I remember, like, those were the earliest games, and then, obviously, we got more and more, but those are, like, the first ones that I seriously remember.
So, about how old are you at this point?
Oh, boy. That's a good question. Maybe 5.
Like you're young. You're young at that point.
Yeah, I'm really young.
But you're.
I'm basically I'm conscious, as a kid. I remember those games.
But are you playing? Are you playing the games, or
Yeah.
are you sitting on the side and Dad's playing with controller 1 and you're like just hacking controller 2, thinking you're playing?
That's a very real possibility.
So you're like, yeah, I beat Mega Man at 5 years old, and meanwhile, Pop's
I
on
didn't
the
say
side
I
going
beat
like,
Mega Man
yeah.
2.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, that's the story as you get older, and then all of a sudden one day he looks at you, you need to go back and replay that game because you didn't really do it.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it'd be great if I beat it at like 2 years old or something, but
That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
If that was the case, you, sir, would be in the wrong line of business. You should be playing games forever at that point. So you preluded to this. What exactly is the first NES or Nintendo console that you bought with your own money?
That was actually the SNES.
Okay.
Because
Wait. You bought that with your own money? 5 years old, you're playing the NES. What kind of parents do you have?
There's a story behind that. So
okay, go ahead.
I actually only have one ear. And when I believe it was like it was like early school years.
Mm-hmm.
I had like 3 operations like straight in a row to reconstruct it.
Okay.
And so I got pity money. You know, that's how it works when you're a kid.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So
Pity money is a good thing,
pity
man.
money, I was able to go to like Funko Land or one of these. Like there was no GameStop back then. There was certainly no Amazon back then.
Yeah.
But I went to one of these like mom and pop game stores,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to buy an SNES with only Super Mario World at the time.
That's not a bad deal, dude. That's not a bad deal.
Well, because that came with it at launch, actually. So yeah, that was the only game I had.
Yeah. That's basically like that's not a bad deal. Like at least you're getting the thing. You feel kind of good because you bought it.
Yeah.
You know, with your own money. It would have been better if your parents would have bought it, and then you could have took all that money and bought games. But there wasn't a whole lot at launch anyway. There was only a couple.
Do you remember how expensive games were back then? They were more expensive
pricey,
than
man.
games are now.
They were a little pricey. Well, let's be fair. Not at the launch of the SNES, but come midway to the latter end, like they got crazy, like $70, $80. I remember Earthbound was in the $80-$90 range, but it also came with like a big strategy guide and like this bigger box and all this stuff.
Yeah, that was like one of the original collector's editions.
Oh yeah, man, that was
what they called it. That
insane. That thing was just amazing. Going back, what would probably be like? What was your favorite game on the SNES? Because I'm assuming at this point, like now you're kind of knowing what you're doing.
Yeah,
you got a grasp of it. You're understanding what games are. You're having a good time with it. Because I would probably think you're probably closer to like 10.
Yeah,
at this point, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your jam at that point?
At that point, my jam is still Super Mario World. I must have beaten that game 100 times.
Yeah.
Also, at that time, I was kind of getting into the arcade scene.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when Street Fighter 2 was released for SNES, I bought that.
Yeah.
I bought, like, the really crappy ports of, like, Fatal Fury, and then World Heroes. I bought all those SNK, like, arcade ports. I was really big into fighting games, which you might not think the way I am now.
Yeah.
But I was pretty big into the arcade scene. Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3 I had on the SNES, even with the lack of blood in the first one. That didn't bother me at all.
It was sweat. Who cared?
Yeah.
You know, they made such a big deal about that. I remember when that
really
was all
did.
going down. They made a huge deal about that. And I was probably maybe 15, 14, right around then. And I was like, so what? Who cares? I'm playing Mortal Kombat on my SNES.
Yeah.
I don't care. And my buddies would be like, oh, we got blood. I'm like, really? These stupid little like streaks of things popping off? Like, I don't care. It didn't matter.
If there was the internet back then, that would have been a major argument. But without, I felt like it was more of like a magazine thing.
Yeah, yeah, and it was. And cafeteria, like you sit around the lunchroom with your buddies arguing about it. Like that was the original internet. Sitting around the lunch table, just telling each other like, you're full of it, you know, Game Pro, you know, some guys would have Game Pro, some people would have, you know, Nintendo Power and such, and you'd be just sitting there arguing with each other like, what was the better deal of it all. So my question then would be, we're going to get into some other stuff that's kind of current event stuff, but I kind of want to get a feel and kind of let people know who you are as we're moving forward. But what's your Nintendo franchise of choice?
Back then?
No, overall. Like now we're current day. Like what's your franchise, your go-to franchise from Nintendo?
I have a bunch, but the ones that I don't go to are probably going to be surprising for people.
Okay.
Only because I talk about Nintendo so much, but my go-to ones obviously are Mario, Zelda, Animal Crossing, Pokemon, Fire Emblem.
Okay.
The ones I'm really not so big on, Metroid. Not because I have anything against Metroid, it's just because my backlog is so huge, and I have so many other games. I literally have not had the time to play any of them. Star Fox isn't really my jam, but any of Nintendo's JRPG series, Xenoblade, of course, you've probably seen me go crazy over that the last few weeks.
Listen, the overlay has Rex on here for you, so I knew that you like Xenoblade, so I took Rex and I put his face on the overlay. So if you go back and watch it, or if you have the thing that, you'll see like Rex is sitting right over the top of your head looking down at you. So
that's very fitting.
That's good, right? See.
But I mean, right now, probably, and of course, Smash Brothers is very big with me. So those are the ones I'm most into. Moving into like 2018, of course, I'm a very big Fire Emblem fan.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a big deal for me.
Are you excited for the new, like? We don't know anything about it, but like,
I don't know anything about it.
We just know it's coming this year. We don't know when, what, where, what it is. Are you excited for it, whatever it is?
I'm very excited because I believe like the last 3 or 4 Fire Emblem games have been announced in a Nintendo Direct, and we're due in January.
I hope, man. I hope. I'm waiting. January 11th would be really nice because that's my birthday. I'd be so happy, man.
I'm expecting Fire Emblem at this point.
It'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And my feeling is this too. Fire Emblem has kind of hit a groove. Like, I know a lot of people are tired of Fire Emblem, whatever. I'm not. I look at it and I go, like, Awakening hit, and then Fates hit, and I'm ready for the next one. Like, Fates really brought me in. I felt like the way they handled that game was amazing. You know, like the 3 stories coming into the one section, you know, or the story coming into the one section, and then you have 3 decisions. You got to pick one out of the 3. You have 3 choices put in front of you, and I thought, like, this is really ingenious. Because when I started playing it, I was like, oh, this is easy. You know, like, this is an easy choice. And then you hit that point, and it's like, wow. Like, this is harder. This is a much harder choice than I thought.
And I think I spoke about this the other day on Twitter, but we are getting a lot of Fire Emblem games recently, but strategy RPGs are kind of like a dying genre. There's not that many left.
Yeah.
There's Disgaea. There's Valkyria Chronicles, surprisingly, has risen from the dead.
Yeah.
And I'm at a loss for what else is...
Yeah, I mean, like, Nintendo tried to do, Codename Steam. They tried to push that. It didn't work out that well for them. SteamWorld Heist just hit, and that's pretty
Square
good.
Doesn't do their Final Fantasy Tactics series anymore. I thought we were going to get one on the 3DS for the longest time.
Yeah, that's kind of, and that was, I wouldn't mind seeing that come back. Because I kind of like that series when it hit originally on the PS1. There
were actually a lot of strategy RPGs on the DS, like Devil Survivor from Atlas, and then after that, like there weren't that many. And it's kind of funny because Fire Emblem was literally the first SRPG. It was very popular in the beginning, and then as other strategy RPGs started coming to America and more started to come out, others became more popular. And now, like, it's like Little Engine That Could. Fire Emblem, like, 25 years later, is like the most popular strategy RPG again.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny how that worked.
I know. It's crazy. Well, I think what hurt it, at least for me...
Well, it didn't come out in America for a long time.
Well, that too. But, like, for me, what pushed me away from it whenever it did start to make its move was permadeath.
Yeah.
Permadeath would always just be like, man, it feels like it's so huge to play this game, and you're building up these people and they just die, and that's it. Once they got it to the point where like you could turn permadeath off, I was like, okay, this is good for me. Like now I can play it and enjoy it. So I would love that. I'm just reading some of the chat, you know. Like Twin World is saying like he's half done with Birthright. Been too busy with Wii U Switch titles. That's. I did Birthright, Conquest. Man, that is so hard. Conquest. It's like 2 different games. They totally ramped it up, man. I want to go back and play Revelations because I just want to play that version. You know, because I hear there's a lot of stuff that gets
more out of it if you play the complete 3-part story.
Yeah.
And Echoes, I thought, was excellent. It's like one of the top 10 games of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah. I didn't play Echoes. I need to go back and get that one. I would definitely like to try that one because, you know, I had... what the hell? I'm sorry. Someone messaged me, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Sorry about that. Yeah, like, I want to go back and get that game because I read so much good stuff about it. I just am not ready to go back to the 3DS at this point. Like, I'm kind of like, I have so much right now on my Switch. It's like, I don't have the time to do this, you know what I mean? Like, but I need to get it and have it. This way I can go back and
this year on 3DS was a lot better than I think people anticipated it was going to be with the Switch on the horizon.
Yeah.
There were a lot of games on 3DS.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good. We'll see what happens when it all weighs out. Where are you with this whole? Because I have an opinion about this, but I'll let you go first. So today it gets announced that Nintendo, the Switch has outsold the Wii U in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay with that narrative being told, or because let me explain what I'm getting at with this. With me, my issue is like everybody's been focused on the big number, the 13.86 million, like taking that number down. Then suddenly today, everybody started reporting about how, you know, the Switch took out the Wii U, and then it goes in Japan. Like at the end of it, it was like you first read the article or you see the headline, you're like, oh my god, they sold 4 million units in December. Like what the hell happened? And I feel like the narrative is kind of like shifted, and it should stay focused on the big number, not these little numbers. To me, but what's your take?
I think it's because we only get the little number. We get Japanese figures every week.
Yeah.
We don't really see the U.S. numbers anymore.
No, not at all, really.
So that's... And unless Nintendo says it themselves, there's no way to know if they've passed that big number.
Here's the thing. When they're selling, it's selling, they're going to come out every couple of months and talk about it. Because that's where they are right now. Like, they just announced 10 million.
The thing that annoyed me about those articles is outselling the Wii U in Japan isn't really the impressive thing.
No.
The impressive thing is Switch has literally, since the day it launched, been sold out every single week in Japan.
Yeah.
With lotteries every single week.
Yep.
So the fact that they were able to do it completely sold out with like scraps of inventory.
Yeah,
that's the impressive thing to me.
To me, like yes, outselling the Wii U in year one, is pretty awesome, and it's really impressive. But to me, what I want them to do is I want them to outsell the PS4 in year one. So if they can beat PS4's numbers in year one,
that's certainly going to happen in Japan.
In Japan, I think it'll happen, but I'm talking overall. I want the worldwide number because it's 14 million. Yeah. It's not like it's not doable. You know what I mean? So they
in Europe, that's going to be really hard.
Well, yeah, Europe's going to be the hard one because Nintendo doesn't have the presence like Sony, and Sega before it.
I mean, I think even getting close to PS4 would be a victory.
Oh, dude, if they could get 14 million, which would beat the Switch, or beat the Wii U. I think they'll be very close to PS4, and that's huge because people were just acting like we'll never see this again. We'll never see this come again, that anybody will sell what PS4 is doing right now. I mean, they said the same thing about the Wii. Yeah. They said the same thing about the PS2. Occasionally, just lightning in a bottle happens, and something sells.
And PS4 is significantly slowing down.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's going to hit 100 million.
Mm-hmm.
Will it get to 150 before it's replaced? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But like I've mentioned, I'm not sure if the Switch will outsell PS4 in the long run. I definitely think that Microsoft's in trouble.
Yeah.
Because I think Switch is coming for it in terms of being in second very fast.
Yeah.
Because Xbox One sales have basically fallen off a cliff, more or less.
And I really did think that the X would give it like the boost it needed, but it doesn't seem like it's doing much. Because the thing of it is like you understood why at least I understood why Xbox One wasn't doing that well because of power issues and having trouble like pushing certain games. So when they announced the X, I thought, oh man, this is going to be it.
If you're going to push the power angle like they did, you need an exclusive at launch, and they didn't have.
Yeah, you need a couple exclusives. I think that's the thing. Like Nintendo. I think they pulled a Wii U, ultimately. Like, they came out, and it was like, okay, here's this power. Here you go. And nobody budged on it. And it was like, you got to have something to back this. Like, you got people that want to play this. You need exclusives, man. You need stuff that you can't get anywhere else.
Exclusives are very important, and a lot of people discount that now.
They discount it, but look, that's what Nintendo's built this whole year on. You know, every single month giving us an exclusive that you can't get anywhere else. And that's pretty awesome to see what they're doing. You know, it's, I don't know. Like, and the other thing I want to talk about too was Kimishima this week. He announced that they think, or he wants Nintendo to do 20 million units next year.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? You think that's possible, or?
Well, again, he knows exactly what the software lineup is going to be.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So he has full information. We have, like, no information.
Well, but what could they possibly have that would
Smash
push?
Brothers.
You think
2D
really
Mario, Animal Crossing, potentially Pokemon. There's a bunch of big bombs that could drop. That could.
Well, let's be fair. Pokemon could be the animal that does this.
Yeah.
Because Pokemon's huge.
It's more than huge.
Yeah. So if you put out a new Pokemon game and it's only on the Switch, that's going to be massive. That's going to push some serious numbers.
If you put out Pokemon in October when Pokemon usually comes out in, and have some bundle or some deal ready for Black Friday and the holidays, please. Yeah. They're only limited by the amount of stock that they have.
That's the thing. Like. It feels like now like there is inventory. Like I was telling a couple of buddies of mine, I went to Best Buy a couple weeks ago, and I walked into Best Buy one day, and they had stacks like up to my eyeballs of Xbox One, PS4, and then they had three stacks, but it was all the way down at the bottom of the Switch, right? And they had about 6 Switches left. So I go, I buy what I buy, I leave. I come back the next day because I had to pick something else up. And I go in, and those Switches are sold, and the stacks of the PS4 and the Xbox are still where they were. They weren't budged. These ones were selling at $200, and the Switch is $300, and it's selling out.
Yeah, the only in Japan it's selling out weekly.
Oh, it's crazy.
They sold 300,000 units last week.
Sold out. What is it for? I thought it was 429. Was it yours? You were the one that posted that, didn't you?
I posted it, and it was about 300,000 units.
Yeah, that's just.
And then it was sold out, and there were still lotteries in Japan.
Yeah,
that's not even enough for demand.
It's crazy to see the numbers that are coming out of Japan.
Yeah.
These people are going bonkers for this thing. Nintendo nailed this thing, in my opinion. Like, when I looked at it and I saw what they were talking about, I was like, this makes so much sense. In Japan, handhelds are massive.
I knew immediately as soon as I saw that trailer.
Yeah.
I knew it would be number one in Japan at some point.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize it would happen week 1 and then never stop.
It hasn't.
I knew it would happen.
Yeah.
Because it was going to get all those handheld series, and it was going to be treated as a handheld.
Yeah, and in Japan, that's huge. So it's basically replaced the Vita, because the Vita was the powerhouse, but 3DS still outsold the Vita by above and beyond. Yeah. But it's now outpacing the 3DS as well. Yeah,
I think there were a few weeks where Vita would outsell 3DS.
Yeah.
During big launches and bundles, but
when they had big stuff coming, but it was very rare.
But it was rare. But as soon as Switch happened, it's never not been first place in Japan.
Exactly. It's nuts. Like, the numbers...
And it could be like this as long as Switch is out for, like, the next 4 or 5 years.
Could you imagine... Seriously, could you imagine, like, going to a store, standing in line, getting a lottery ticket, and then going, like, I still might not get this thing. You could be the first one to get there, and it'd be like, I still might not get this.
Yeah, it's tough. And the lines are, like, down the block. You see pictures of it.
Oh, it's nuts. I've never seen... Like,
and this is without Pokemon, and without Animal Crossing, and without Smash, the series that they really love.
I think what pushes that though too as well is Monster Hunter series, because they got Double Cross on their Switch, and that's huge. Monster Hunter is huge in Japan.
Yeah, I don't want to get started on Capcom. They botched that so badly.
I can't believe. I don't know what the hell. I don't know who to blame. I don't know who to blame, Nintendo or Capcom for Worlds. Worlds looks like it's going to be phenomenal.
This is what I think happened. Monster Hunter World started development in a world where Switch wasn't even announced. They didn't get a dev kit. They didn't do anything.
Yeah. And
they didn't know how it was going to do. They probably developed that with the idea that, okay, PS4 is #1 everywhere, and it's going to stay #1 everywhere forever.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't anticipate Switch basically killing PS4 in Japan.
This is true.
And so it was already in development, and there was really nothing that they could do at that point. They were going to go with the angle now that, okay, so this is for powerful systems.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the angle they had to do at that point, because it was already so far in development. It was definitely in development before they even had a Switch, because if they knew Switch was going to be #1, they would have found a way to make that multi-platform.
Well, and they were already like, I think this was a tale of like Capcom going like, okay, we tried with Nintendo, we're going back to.
And then once Switch came out and it did what it did, then they hauled ass on Monster Hunter XX.
Yeah,
I don't believe that was in development like very long.
No, they moved Double Cross over, which was awesome. You know, that was good. I'm kind of like, I look at what they're doing in Japan. You know, with the Dragon Quest series, Dragon Quest Heroes is hitting. Dragon Quest Builders is coming to the United States now.
Well, Square, as much crap as they've gotten from everyone over the years, they knew what Switch was going to be from day one.
And they're on it. They've been putting stuff over it. I mean, here's the thing. There was talks about them trying to get Final Fantasy 15 on Switch. And that was, okay, as good as that is to be announced or whatever, that's not what the thing is.
Yeah. Well,
that engine, if they can get it to run with their hybrid engine they're trying to work on, that means Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming to Switch.
Yeah.
And that's
I'll give your listeners somewhat of an exclusive here.
Okay.
But I've heard from a few sources that multiple Final Fantasy games are in development for Switch.
And that would be awesome.
I don't know if it's 15. Yeah. I'm not sure, but I know that series is coming to Switch.
Well, I know from, I can't remember if I was if Roger said it on the one show he was on, but we were talking about it then. I was talking to somebody, and they were saying that they know for a fact that they're trying to get 15 to run on the Switch because the engine that 15 runs on is the same engine that 7 is running on.
Yeah.
So if they can get that to go, then that means day and date 7 Remake comes to the Switch, and that's huge.
Well,
that can happen.
I did hear that was in the work, that was a plan to have 7 involved.
Yeah.
And even to have a remake of Final Fantasy VI for Switch. But because of the development problems that 7 was having, and then they reorganized the teams, and so I don't know what's actually in the works. Yeah. Final Fantasy is coming to Switch one way or another.
I would be a fan of that. I wouldn't mind that, because I'm a big, I'm not a fan of Final Fantasy 15. I felt like Final Fantasy 15 was a lot like Monster Hunter. It was a mishmash of games, really. So I'm a fan of the old school Final Fantasy. That's kind of why I like the games that are coming, like the Lost Spheres and the I Am Setsuna and all those, those games. I like those games because I'm like, this is old school Final Fantasy type stuff. I like this.
And Project Octopath looks amazing.
Oh God, that game just, every time I see it, I'm just like, yes. I want more of this. This is going to be
It has
awesome.
the exact graphical style as Dragon Quest VII on PS1,
Yeah.
all the remakes on DS, but it just looks so much better. That like sprite on like 3D background look,
Yeah.
but this looks so good.
Twin World Game Reviews just said maybe Final Fantasy 1 through 6 redone with the Octopath 2D art.
Oh God.
God, please, yes. That would be.
Yeah.
I would be so. Dude, that opera scene, just in that art style, man. Sign me up. I'm in. Like, make it happen
Right
now.
for that.
Oh, that'd be amazing. That would be amazing. The one thing that we can definitely say is like you see what Capcom has done.
And they've reversed course big time.
They have completely because they started to leave Nintendo, and then all of a sudden, like they heard the fans. Like when they would put out a trailer for something.
Well, it wasn't necessarily hearing the fans, but money talks.
Well, that's hearing the fans. Hearing the fans, and
money talks loud.
Because here's the thing: people are going like, "Why is this not on Switch?" And they go, "Okay, here's a test," and it sells like gangbusters, and they're like, "Let's try it again. Here's a test. Let's see what happens." Boom, and it sells, and they're like, "Okay, we need to take this thing serious. Like, these things are selling over here, and we're going to start putting stuff over there." I'm happy about that, really am.
Yeah, me too.
Because, you know, I was so excited for the Mega Man stuff to get announced. Like, I was like, this is awesome. Because not only are we getting Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, we're also getting the first one. We're also getting X. We're also getting 11. Like, it's just like they were like, okay, whatever you want, here you go. And the Street Fighter Collection's coming, which I'm not really that hyped up about. Like, that is what it is. You know what I mean?
And I had heard about that about 3 months ago that Switch was getting multiple Street Fighter games. I just didn't realize it was going to come in the form of a collection.
Yeah,
you know,
it's kind of neat. It's kind of neat that in Japan they're pissed because I guess the version they're getting in Japan is our version.
And even though it's a collection, that's the type of game that would never come to a Nintendo system in the past.
No,
because Alpha got an anthology on PS2. I don't believe that ever came to GameCube.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah, no. It's just awesome to see what's going on like right now.
And then they have Ace Attorney games in development, and I think there's more Resident Evil coming. I don't know if it's 7, but I think 4 and 5 and whatever else.
I'm hyped, man. I really am. Like this is just so much fun to be a Nintendo fan right now.
Yeah.
Like I got an Xbox One for Christmas, and I've been playing some stuff over there. I'm
taking the show. If you got an Xbox One, I'm out.
Listen, I needed to play Cuphead, man. I needed to play this game.
Yeah.
The game's really good. I'm not gonna lie.
Is that game not on PC? I haven't followed it.
It is on PC. It is on PC. But I don't have a PC. I mean, I got a Mac. You know what I mean? Like, I can't play. I'm not a PC guy. I'm not gonna. I don't know. Like,
Understandable.
My thing is this: is like I do a lot of podcasts and I do a lot of stuff, and I was like, I need to learn about the other stuff. I've learned about the mess that is an Xbox. Like. Yeah. I did a video last week about the eShop and what a disaster Nintendo's eShop is. Go check out the Microsoft Store. Like, that's bad news, man. That is like a train wreck that just happened. And
I have no experience with Xbox One at all. I keep telling myself I'm going to buy it eventually.
Yeah.
It'll probably be like a legacy system where I buy it like 10 years down the line.
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing Forza. I love Forza. Forza is amazing. Really is. So I'm not gonna knock it. I'm having fun.
Not mix.
What's that?
Me and racing games do not mix.
It's not, you know what, dude? It's not that difficult.
Yeah. Like, it's not difficult. I'll make it difficult.
No, it's really not, man. Because I'm not the greatest at racing games. I can hold my own, but like it puts the lines you're supposed to be taking on the ground, so you follow it. It's just like so good, man. Yeah. It is really good.
I can understand if you're a racing fan why you'd want an Xbox One, because Forza is like a yearly series now.
Yeah.
So
Luke Lore, I don't have 30 minutes to get proficient with the OS. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I want to get in, I want to get my game, I want to get out. Like, I was trying to find the DLC for Destiny 2, and I'm like, dude, where is the DLC at? Like, we're going through
and
it.
Even though Switch is very minimalistic in terms of the eShop, and I remember having no problems booting up Zelda immediately.
Yeah. I talked about it this week. Like I said, I did a video about the eShop. I feel like the eShop is a mess right now. And I think it's not a mess because Nintendo's fault. It's a mess. Well, I guess it's kind of their fault because they're not on top of this and stopping it. They have so many games coming in right now. That,
like 12 games on the eShop on average a week.
Yeah. So the thing is like when the new list. So if games come out this week, next week's games actually push it down.
Yeah.
And off of the list. So it's like
I definitely think we're going to see a big update.
They got to. They
early,
have to.
And I'm sure that all the indie developers are telling them that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not news to them.
No, it's a mess. Like, not only that, like the best sellers list. You have 345 games as of last week. Why are you only doing a top 15? Like, that makes no sense. Like,
well,
it
now
up.
It needs to be a top 200 probably.
Easily. I would probably go 100 to keep it, like, relevant. 200 seems a bit much. Probably because, you could just go through the entire list. But at least this way, if they had 100, you would go like, okay, these are the top games. And then they need to do like a star rating system where you buy a game, you then can rate that game. And now people can actually read your reviews.
Yeah.
Or just see like, hey, this game got a 5-star, or this game's now averaging a 4-star, or whatever. This way, at this point, like, more people can go like, do I want to buy this game? You know what, man? 100 reviews, they're giving it a 3.5. That's not too bad. I'm going to buy it. Or here's 10 reviews, and they're all giving it 1s. I'm not even touching that game. Like,
I would be surprised if we go through all of 2018 and it's not overhauled. I'd be pretty surprised. I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, they have to do something. It is a mess. It is an absolute mess, and like games are getting missed. It is so bad. Like you have games coming out that deserve people's attentions that just are getting lost in the mix. It is crazy where we're at right now.
And yeah, Nintendo probably didn't anticipate this many indies jumping on like this because
not like
it's been a gold mine for them.
Dude, we're probably going to be about 360 games by the end of 2017.
That's insane.
That is madness, man.
Yeah.
That is crazy to think. Just for the people that are here listening right now, like, just let that sink in. 360 games. And the Wii U had hardly anything.
eShop going. They got maybe 50 games their first year.
Yeah. I mean, we don't even have a virtual console yet.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy to think that this is the numbers that Nintendo's pulling in right now. And it's like, and this is a console that's 6 months ago. People were like, there's no games on this thing.
Yeah, and then this is without the virtual console. Imagine eShop if Nintendo started putting their old stuff on it.
Yeah.
And other developers other than SNK, started...
SNK was so smart, man.
Yeah.
Let's just start putting our stuff on there and see what happens. And I didn't realize there was that many SNK games.
Oh, yeah.
I knew there was a few, but I didn't realize there was that many.
Yeah.
They're deep.
They were prolific in the 90s.
Dude, they made some of the best games. I was so upset when they left Nintendo with the Neo Geo. When they went off and did the Neo Geo, because I felt like they made some of the best games on the NES.
Yeah. And so some of the best arcade conversions, like Samurai Showdown.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what they were doing.
And I don't know if you saw, but I think it was today where they just announced that in 2018 they're announcing one new console game and one new mobile game. And if they're announcing like Samurai Showdown 6, like officially, I will flip out.
I didn't realize how good the Metal Slug games were.
Yeah.
I had never played a Metal Slug game before.
Well, it's because the games on that system were $200 a pop, basically.
Well, because when, first off, the console cost $900.
Yeah.
It was an actual legitimate, like, console. Like, basically, you were playing the arcade games in your house. Yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was like the arcade specs and a little...
It was nuts, man. It was crazy. So
I played the Metal Slug games for the first time on Wii. There was an anthology collection. I think it was at launch or pretty close to launch.
Okay.
I just ran through them all.
Yeah, I never played any of them. I love them. I think they're really well done. They're really, really good games.
But well done.
Yeah, but you know what? That's fine.
Yeah.
First off, the graphics are just amazing. Like they really are for pixel art.
I tweeted about this the other day. They don't do sprite work like that anymore.
They don't.
It's expensive, and it's like the artists just don't know how to do it.
No, it's. I mean, you get the ones like Shovel Knight that come out, and it's like they got it. They understand what's going on. But it is just.
But even Shovel Knight is like NES, like high level sprite work. When you saw what like was happening with like Saturn and Neo Geo and even late like SNES sprite work, you can't even compare.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. What is your standout on the Switch? Like what game? What's your game of the year?
That's a really tough question.
It's not that tough. Come on.
It's really not that tough.
You could do it. Pull the trigger. You could do it.
My game of the year is Mario Odyssey.
Okay, you need to leave.
I know. I'll go. I'll go.
What
what
made it your game of the year? What
it was not stressful.
It wasn't stressful. That's why.
It was. I was able to 100% it, which is my mental hang up that I have to 100% every game I play.
Dude, you 100%ed that game?
I did.
Oh God. I didn't have the patience for the
I
pure
got every moon, I got every costume, I got everything.
That's crazy. That's like, man, what are you thinking? What are you thinking?
and I only had to look stuff up like 4 times, which I think is pretty good.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. For me, it was Zelda. That was my game of the year.
I love Zelda, and it's probably number 3, and I'll talk about the number 2.
Number 3?
It's number 3.
What is wrong with you? All right, what is number 2?
Number 2 is Xenoblade 2.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Are you insane? Are you insane?
I might be.
It's bad enough Zelda's not number 1. Then it's not even number 2?
It's 3.
Oh god.
And the reason why Zelda is 3 is because, and this is really silly, is because of the mountain climbing in the rain. That killed me.
That's it.
That knocked it down, and I'm being honest about it.
You, sir.
Because I would want that stupid Korok up on top of the mountain, and I was halfway, and then it would start raining, and I would put my controller down and get something to eat.
Yeah.
Because I had to wait until the rain stopped, because you can't climb.
Yeah.
And it was just a pain.
Stop. That's not... Just stop. You can easily just put the controller down, walk away, or if you had the ability to light a fire, you could just lit a fire and moved it to the next morning.
Well, when you're hanging on the side of the mountain, not moving.
Well, that's when you just slide down to the bottom of the mountain.
Yeah.
You just light the fire.
And then I get angry. But yeah,
the chat was loving you, and they just totally turned on you, man.
Yeah, I'm sure they are now. But like, I also wanted to 100% that game.
Yeah. And
the map is just so enormous. It was more of a stressful gaming experience for me than 100%ing Mario Odyssey.
Well, let's be honest. Like, I could see where it was a little bit more stressful. Like, that game, especially in the early goings, when weapons are breaking and you're trying to make your way through areas.
It wasn't even like the weapons breaking. I never had an issue with that. It was all about the collecting and the climbing.
No, what I mean by that is like if you're in the middle of battles and your weapons, I can see where the stress levels can come early on.
Yeah.
And then you're not strong enough to like take on Guardians. Yeah. And you really don't know how to fight Guardians.
And the other issue with Zelda I had, and this probably is more legitimate than the climbing in the rain, even though that's made me scream the most, is the dungeons. I'm like when I play Zelda, I played for the dungeons.
Yeah, there wasn't.
And then there were dungeons, but they weren't great.
Yeah. What I had a problem with was there was just too many shrines that were, when you get to them, you just walk in and they gave you the thing. Yeah. It was like, man, like, yeah, it was a little tough to get here, but I would have enjoyed a puzzle at this point. Yeah. You know?
I mean, in addition to, like, the Divine Beasts, if you just gave me even, like, 3 amazing mansion-type dungeons with multiple floors and keys, it might have been number 2 or even number 1. Like, I'm a dungeon guy.
What I wouldn't mind is if, let's say, we go back to the old style of Zelda, right? Where you have the 8 pieces of Triforce you need to collect, right? So you have these giant temples or whatever.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind you having to get, like, you'd have to finish, like, 10 shrines to unlock that temple.
And that's fine, too.
Yeah. Because to me, it would have been like, okay, it would have definitely made the shrine hunting a little bit more fun. And you would have also been like, I have to find these shrines.
Yeah.
But also it would have been like a little cherry on the top, like a reward for doing it. Like I
just wish you had a few bigger traditional dungeons, which is why I think I prefer, honestly, a Link Between Worlds is my favorite Zelda of this entire like generational period, because it had those like layered dungeons that I really loved.
Yeah, the dungeons were phenomenal in that game.
But it's like even though it's number 3, I don't hate Zelda. I put 100+ hours into it. Anything you put 100+ hours into, you can't possibly hate.
So let's jump on your number 2 here, because I honestly, if I'm being fair, I actually had made comments of saying like that if Xenoblade Chronicles 2 had come out a couple months prior, it potentially would have been my game of the year. I just needed more time in that game. So now I stopped. I haven't really, like, I got pretty decent into it, and I had to put it down for a little bit.
Keep going.
I'm going to. Don't get me wrong, because I love this game. This game is really, really good. My thing is I just started playing a couple other games for reviews, so I had to get them knocked out, and now I'll go back to it. But what exactly... Luke, he did not say that Zelda was the worst game ever. Would you stop? What, for you, what's your take with Xenoblade? Like, why is it so, for you, why does it rank so high?
Well, I've been looking, so going back to, like, Final Fantasy 15, I didn't feel like it was that good. It was mediocre.
Yeah.
Xenoblade 2 was like that. It felt like it could have been Final Fantasy 15 or 16.
Yeah.
It just had this feeling where I loved all the characters. There were plot twists everywhere. Yeah. The music was incredible. The towns are incredible.
Yeah.
It just had like the entire JRPG package for me.
Wait. Did you beat this game?
Yeah. And
holy crap, dude. Really?
I am at 145 hours, I believe.
Holy cow.
And every play session, I would play for at least 10 hours a day, doing nothing but playing that game. I would start at like 7 in the morning. I wouldn't stop till 10.
Holy crap.
I would take a small eating break, and I would keep going. Because I only had time really recently because of work to play on the weekends.
Yeah.
So I would just power through it like no game I've done in forever.
That's crazy.
Each play session was at least 10 hours a day that I played that game.
Okay, so what's your tip on this game? Like, what's a tip that you would give people that are getting into this game?
My tip would be to spread out the amount of unique blades that you give to your party.
Okay.
Because basically there are some areas and some chests that you need to unlock with certain skills, and you need like a very high level. So like you might need like a 7 in unlocking or something, and you're really not going to get that if you give all your blades to one character, because you only have 2 slots, and odds are you're only going to have them leveled up like 1 or 2 each.
Okay.
So you need to be able to equip like blades to other characters that maybe even only have like 1 level unlocked in that ability, but it stacks.
Okay.
So one thing I learned early was don't give everything to Rex.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that was hard to learn.
My buddy Patrick from Nintendo Talk, he's curious what your number 4 and number 5 games are for the year.
Oh jeez. Well, they're not on Switch.
Then we don't care.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I think Persona 5 is up there for me.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's up there. And a lot of like 3DS stuff that you wouldn't probably think. Dragon Quest VIII had a remake on 3DS this year.
Yep.
It was incredible.
Really?
It was one of the best remakes I've ever played.
Wow.
That's up there. Fire Emblem Echoes is up there. Golf Story, I powered.
Golf Story was so good, man.
So good. What else? And then Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga remade was amazing on 3DS.
So, the Triple J Zoo, he just asked if you played Fire Emblem Warriors. And I just want to say this. Go over to Roger's base, because Stealth, myself, and what was it, HMK?
HMK.
HMK and Roger did a talk about this, and we broke it down in depth. It's about a 30-minute conversation. Go check that out. And
us agreed on basically everything, so that's like seeing a rainbow.
Yeah.
We've got people on the internet agreeing about everything.
Exactly.
But to answer your question, I got late shipping on that, so I literally got Mario Odyssey and Fire Emblem Warriors on the same day.
Oh my
So
god.
what exactly do you think I played? I played Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
And once I was done with Mario Odyssey, I went right into Xenoblade. So I would say I'm like on chapter 8 of Fire Emblem Warriors.
Yeah.
I'm in it. I have to get back into it. I haven't finished it.
That game was good.
I love what I love what I've played.
Yeah.
And I'm really not like a historical Musou guy.
Yeah.
Like Zelda, Musou got me in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, really phenomenal.
It's good.
We got a few minutes here. Is there anything else that what did he say? Game of the year story material is golf. Dude, Golf Story was really, really
Golf
a great
Story
game. Yeah.
is surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Because I think
expecting
it's
that
made
one.
by like one person or two people.
2 people made it.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
And it is a lot of content, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm always screaming, either make Golf Story 2 or make Tennis Story or make Basketball Story. Keep going.
Yeah, keep going. Like that would be. I'd like to see him make a baseball story. That would be fun. Just to whatever.
I'd like to see the same main character though in a different sport. Like somehow he has to learn it for some reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about Blossom Tail?
Blossom Tail. I've not played it.
Go get it.
Yeah.
If you like top-down Zelda, this game is so good.
Well, I
So
read
good.
that the game sold like more on its first day on the eShop than its lifetime on Steam.
Yeah,
Something crazy.
It is really, really good, man.
Yeah.
Like, really. I was.
And I've
Sure.
admitted this. I am not an indie guy, so I don't know a lot of the indie games.
Well, the thing is like, I like a lot of indies, so I pay attention to what the indies are doing and all that stuff. But like,
Well, I try and retweet them a lot, which is probably what you see.
yeah, but when there's games that come out that you just got to get on,
Yeah.
that's one. Like, dude, this game, if you like top-down Zelda,
Which I do.
the game starts off, right? So it starts off, it's a grandfather talking to his two grandchildren. And they're like, Grandpa tells a story. And he goes, how about I start telling you a story? And he starts telling the story of Zelda. But he goes, like, the hero from the land of, and he's getting ready to say Hyrule, and they cut him off. We're like, you've told us that 1,000,000 times. Like, we want something new. So the game is basically like a grandfather telling a story, and he goes off and he starts telling the story. And the cool thing is, like, you'll go into, like, dungeons and stuff,
Yeah.
and the word bubbles are popping up from the grandfather to the children,
That's cool.
where he's telling the story. It is so amazing, man.
That's like, what's that movie? Like Princess Bride or something?
Yeah.
Where the grandfather would kind of talk as he was telling the
Yeah.
story. That's kind of the
It's
same.
really, really good, man.
Yeah.
It's
I've said I really need to get more into indie games, but like the JRPGs and the Nintendo, they just suck up.
You don't have time, dude. If you're playing JRPGs, you have zero time in your life.
I really,
At all.
I mean, I know like there's a new gaming disorder thing now. I'm pretty sure me playing Xenoblade 2 for 10 hours a day for as long as I played that game, I think I need help.
Dude, my wife lets me kind of do what I want to do.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that if I was down here for 10 hours a day until I beat that game, that she would be down here on like
It was
day
getting
3.
close where I had to tell people I was alive, and because I just secluded myself.
You know
every
what though,
week.
man? That's
But I didn't want to stop. Like I couldn't stop. That's the thing with Xenoblade 2.
yeah. Luke Lord just said, "Do you have a non-gaming job?"
I do have a non-gaming job. I do work with game companies.
Okay.
I basically work in market research,
Okay.
and more or less my job is to look at commercials and ads and give advice to make them better.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Variento is saying Floor Kids is really good. He's saying it's a nice distraction to RPGs. It's
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing. Within all that period, I was playing Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
Oh God,
So it was like the one game that kind of went to the side was Fire Emblem Warriors. That kind of got pushed to the side.
With your love for JRPGs, like I used to be there. Don't get me wrong. Like, when the SNES was really banging out, like, I had Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3, which are
I was
4 and 6.
importing JRPGs, and I had people
Really?
import JRPGs from me during the SNES days.
Dude, I was, like, playing,
crazy.
like, you know, Chrono Trigger, and Secret of Mana, and Secret of Evermore, and, like, all these great, amazing RPGs and I was playing them, like you're saying, like, hours on end to beat them. And, like, I never even imagined, like, because we didn't have timers to know how long we were playing those games for. We just went in and started playing. And now it's like, I couldn't even imagine I put 200 hours into Zelda. But I did. And I'm like, I think back and I'm like, where? Where did I play 200 hours worth of Zelda? Like, but it's pretty phenomenal, man.
It definitely adds up.
It does. Because, like, I think I'm at 170 hours on Splatoon 2. And I'm like, that game just sucks me back in every time.
And that's another game that I was playing a lot before the huge holiday update. I have to get back into it.
Patrick, I would not be bold enough to say that about Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. That you're nuts. So I have a saying that I say all the time when I don't like something, and I call it hot trash in the summer. And I just had a shirt made over at TeePublic. So Patrick's like, speaking of Sun and Moon, go buy Bobby's hot trash in the summer shirts. But I would not be bold to say that about a Pokemon game, dude. You are nuts. People will, like, wreck your house for stuff like that.
Yes.
Luke Lore has a good question for you. He says, how important is a game's title to a game's success? Given your experience in the marketing and an affinity for JRPGs, do they hurt or help the exposure, except, like, examples like Doki Doki, Lit Club, Disgaea, Xenoblade? Like, how do you feel the game name affects sales and vice versa and stuff?
I honestly don't think it affects it that much. Like Final Fantasy 15, people don't care if it's like the 15th of something, or if you have a crazy subtitle. For JRPGs, that's not really like a go into the store and pick it out on the shelf purchase. People are researching it well beforehand.
Yeah. And
so they're not really all that concerned with the title. So, and then I know I was never concerned with the title.
So I think to answer Luke properly is if you're into JRPGs, you're doing the research prior.
Yeah.
And you know what's going on. For someone like me or like Luke that aren't big JRPG guys, the name is key. Like, I hear a name, like, I'll be honest with you, like, I heard a name like Xenoblade Chronicles, and I remember when that was on the Wii. And the only thing that I remembered about it was people were going rabid, like flipping out on Nintendo of America, like, why is this not being ported over? We want it.
Well, that's because we actually got to see the game, and it was awesome.
Yeah, and then they did. They brought it over, right? So they brought it over, and then, but the outcry was insane. But when even afterwards, like, when people were screaming for it, I was like, I don't care about this game. It does nothing for me. And then it come out, right? So it comes out. I didn't buy it. Didn't care about it at all. Then I play Smash, and I'm like, I like the Shulk character. This guy's pretty cool. Wait, he's in this game? And just at the same time, they brought it on the 3DS, and I bought it on the 3DS.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then I bought X.
I just don't think, like, the name is so important in terms of how a JRPG sells or anything.
Yeah.
But, your same Shulk story is reminiscent of how people got into Fire Emblem when Marth and Roy were in Melee.
Absolutely.
Same thing happened.
Yeah. Well, that's what pushed me deeper into Fire Emblem games, because when I played Brawl with Marth and then when they came on to Smash 4, and then I'm playing with them again, and I'm like,
and it's funny because when Roy came to Smash, his game wasn't even out in Japan yet.
Oh, wow.
That was like a marketing thing, and people went crazy for that in Japan.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you get to play the new character before his game is even out.
And that's the thing. Like, Nintendo basically found out that, like, you put a character in Smash and those games explode.
Yeah, well, it was because of Marth and Roy that we got Advance Wars.
Yeah.
I believe Advance Wars... I don't know if Advance Wars came first. It might not have. It might have. But then, when the first one came out, people in Nintendo didn't think people liked those kinds of games in America. And then like we got Advance Wars 1, then we got Advance Wars 2, and then we got 2 Fire Emblem games on Game Boy Advance in rapid succession, and the rest was history.
Yeah, and now it's everywhere you turn. But I mean, when you look at like, so it basically became to the point of like Smash turned into like the trailer for a game. You know, like every game, like
and that's why Sony couldn't get Cloud into their own Sony All Stars, but we have devs literally begging Sakurai to put their character, like Suda with Travis Touchdown, begs every interview for him to be put in the next Smash Brothers.
That is nuts.
Like
I remember when Snake was in Brawl, right?
And that was also a favor because Kojima begged Sakurai, who they're friends.
And Kojima actually said to him when Smash was coming to the Wii U, like, hey man, I wouldn't be against you taking Snake again and putting him in, but he never did. Well, I was hoping they would have.
What happened is at that time, like, Kojima was having those problems with
Konami,
and so like it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, that's a shame because I like Snake showing up. I mean, it was weird, but it was just kind of cool him showing up in that game. So Stealth, we're gonna wrap up now. We've been going for a little over an hour. Thank you for coming on, man. This was an absolute blast. I will definitely, I don't know, you might be like, screw you, I'm not coming back. But I hope you would come back because this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, let's just do it before December 2018, okay?
That's a definite. Okay, yeah. I'll tell you this. I will have you on again before I bring Roger back on.
Oh boy, he's gonna hate me for that.
I'm supposed to. There's talks of me bringing Roger and Josh on at the same time.
Oh boy,
which that's always fun. Yeah. That's gonna be hard to handle with those two.
Yeah.
But it's in the works. It's in the talks. The problem is Roger's traveling all over the country right now, so I got to get him back home.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be going to Josh's house. I think this week he should be there now, actually.
Yeah, but then there was a big snowstorm in Chicago. I think he tweeted or something. But I'm also supposed to do a Xenoblade 2 video with him. But he really finished the game first, so I keep antagonizing him to hurry the hell up.
Well, if he'd go home, he could probably play the game. Like, he's gallivanting all over the place.
Yeah, because I want to do like a full spoiler podcast about that game.
I gotta beat it myself, so I can't say anything. Again, real quick, let everybody know where they can find you and all that good stuff.
You can find me on my Twitter @stealth with 3 underscores. Mm-hmm. I'll be tweeting about Nintendo and JRPGs and how much Capcom has disappointed me. But they're getting better.
They're getting better. Go follow this guy, people. Like, he is awesome. Has a lot of knowledge. You guys will love his Twitter. Go check it out. You can follow me Instagram, Twitter @Nintendo Gurus. Thank you guys for all the support. It means the world to me. That is all. Peace out, Preston.